And there's a look north up the world's longest street. Or is it? Hey there, it is Saturday, August 10th, 4:30 p.m. is the time, and the temperature is around 23 degrees Celsius. And I'm here on Yonge Street, just north of Bloor Street West. And depending on which source you consult, this may or may not be the longest street in the world. And for this one, we'll be walking south down to the Eaton Centre. Not sure if I'll walk through the Eaton Centre when we get there, or if I'll just go down to Queen and Yonge. But it's always an interesting walk, and I have plans to meet some friends there in about 45 minutes. So south of Bloor Street is downtown. Oh, look at this truck. Making a very tight right. I'm surprised it pulled that off. There's an entrance to Bloor Yonge Station. Those steps will take you down to the Line 2 platform. But from here to Lake Ontario is about 3.5 kilometers. And there's a look up at the rising One Bloor West. It'll be a super tall when all is said and done. That's a building over 300 meters. One of 3 super talls under construction in the city. And according to ChatGPT, if you ask it what the longest street in the world is, it will say Yonge Street. It says, historically considered the longest street in the world, Yonge Street stretches about 1,896 kilometers when extended via Highway 11 from Toronto to Rainy River, and that is the contentious point, as I believe it is officially only 86 kilometers. And here we've got a scramble crossing. Miniature protest going on.
Say no to the digital ID. Say no to the central bank digital currency.
Say no to the central bank digital currency. So at Yonge and Bloor is Bloor Yonge Station. The next station will be Wellesley. And on this downtown part of Yonge Street, most of the stations are only about 500 to 600 meters apart. So if you walk briskly, you can get from station to station in about 5 to 6 minutes. And Line 1 is actually located just to the east of Yonge Street. At least through the northern part of downtown it is. So ChatGPT says Yonge Street is the longest street in the world. And if I ask Google AI, it says the world's longest street is Yonge Street. Historically, it was considered the longest street in the world by the Guinness Book of World Records, stretching over 1,896 kilometers. It then says, however, it's worth noting the classification has been debated. While Yonge Street itself ends in the city of Barrie, the designation historically extended along Highway 11 to reach the full length. And according to the GuinnessWorldRecords.com, Yonge Street is the longest in the world. I guess it depends on your definition of what a street is, or a road, or a continuously drivable road. There's a nice blast of sunlight. A double-decker tour bus would be nice to be in the upper floor of that in a day like this. It's about 3 or 4 degrees warmer, or colder actually, than it was yesterday. I was actually down this part of Yonge Street yesterday live streaming. And you'll notice there's no bike lane, but there was north of Bloor. Eventually there's plans to connect south of Bloor down to the lake. All right, it's listing back to the longest street in the world topic. I just asked it what the 5 longest streets are in the world. ChatGPT to be specific, not that that's any type of authority. So it lists Yonge Street as number 1, the Pan American Highway as number 2, although that's not a conventional street. It's cited as one of the world's longest roads at 30,000 kilometers. That is much longer than the 1896 it claimed Yonge Street to be. At number 3 is Highway 1 in Australia. That one stretches about 14,500 kilometers. Number 4, Ruta 40 in Argentina. That one is 5,224 kilometers long. And number 5, it says Karakoram Highway in China and Pakistan. That one's about 1,300 kilometers. I bet there's various lists with different roads in different orders at different lengths, because it all boils down to how you define it. It's kind of a silly thing if you think about it. This is Irwin Avenue coming up on the right, and Gloucester Street on the left. And this is a street once associated with being a bit on the sleazy side, particularly a bit south of here. But it was also the music part of the city in the 60s. The strip was alive with taverns and live performance venues. And a lot of that scene moved into Yorkville, which was kind of the scene of hippie culture. Then with the opening of Line 2, Yorkville started gentrifying. And it became a much higher end neighborhood. And it may or may not be the longest street, but it is widely believed to be the oldest street in the city, dating back to 1794. In fact, it goes from the south end of the city all the way to the north end at Steeles, and it effectively cuts the city in two. A lot of the streets on my left side we'll have an east designation, and on the right side we'll have a west designation, such as Queen Street, Dundas Street, Wellington Street, Front Street, St. Charles Street, and here is Wellesley Street, and this is the only subway or subway stop on Yonge Street that is entirely on the east side, at least downtown. Once you go north of downtown, you'll find a few like that. Rosedale and Summerhill, and even St. Clair you can't access from the west side. Well, I guess I was walking kind of gingerly. We're 11 minutes in, and we've made it from just north of Bloor Yonge down to Wellesley. There is Wellesley Station, and the Church Wellesley Village is just off in that direction. There's really been an influx of Asian restaurants and businesses in recent years along this stretch of Yonge Street, in addition to an influx of condos. And coming up on the left is a good example of what I call the blandification of Yonge Street. This was once a lively block, smaller retail, like you see on the west side, and it's been replaced by a shiny new condo. This kind of boring retail frontage. And hey, there's a Firehouse Subs coming in. I've heard a lot about that place. And a Japadog. But what you won't often see in these new condos are a lot of the smaller mom and pop type stores. And you'll also see a lot of for lease and vacant units, and I think this block, well, pretty much every block, will be meeting the pressures of redevelopment, and it's harder to lease a spot out if you know it's a bit of a lame duck. There's the former home of the St. Charles Tavern. That clock tower over there was built in 1870, and it was part of Fire Hall number 3. And you can see that kind of cheesy painted on glass facade. And that tavern was one of the epicenters of the city's gay community. However, that crowd eventually migrated mostly east of here to Church Wellesley, and the tavern closed in 1987. There's an unfortunate occurrence right in front. Hopefully that person is okay. I think it would have been much cooler to rebuild the front of the fire hall. And we're getting towards Carleton and College. And coming up on the right is what was planned to be the largest retail and office complex in the world, as well as home to a flagship Eaton's department store. You can access College subway station underneath. It's now a big complex with multiple supermarkets. There's a Winners in there, a food court. All right, let's try to make this light. On the left side is Carleton Street, on the right, College. Maple Leaf Gardens is just off to the left. Sounds like someone might be playing Stairway to Heaven. We're heading down towards the usually bustling Dundas Square. This construction is to add an elevator access. That's a weird way to say it, down to the College subway platform on the northbound side. And this will be like this for a few years, if I'm not mistaken. All the construction just shifted over from the west side of Yonge Street not too long ago. There's someone covering the cranberries. We are approaching Gerrard Street, And just south of here in the 70s for a few years, there was a pedestrian mall that was quite popular. That was sadly killed off in 1974. And here is what I believe was the original Banh Mi Boys. This is Gerrard Street. There's Concord Sky, another one of the 3 super talls going up in the city. Another one being the Pinnacle. On the south end of Yonge, so all 3 are on Yonge Street. Shawarma Royale. It's been having a grand opening event for a while. It's the Chelsea Hotel lurking behind it. This area up ahead was quite iconic over 20 years ago. There's Sam the Wrecker Man, A&A Records. There was a Fran's Diner, which was a location up on College, and another one at Yonge and Shooter. This used to be the spot to get a fake ID, drop a bunch of quarters into an arcade. This is Gould Street, the university formerly known as Ryerson, just on the left. Now TMU. There's a massive crowd in front of the Eaton Centre. And here's the city's first Shake Shack. I was there for the grand opening. The line has definitely died down considerably. It looks like there's a festival set up at Dundas Square.
Hi, sir.
What is going on? There's a big lineup to get in, it looks like. This was the square originally known as Toronto Life Square. Now, of course, it is Yonge Dundas Square. Free poutine. Smoke Appalooza. So I think everyone's lined up for free poutine, maybe? A smoked poutine themed festival? Oh, they've got a DeLorean. The idea of a stainless steel vehicle seems kind of silly, but that didn't stop Elon Musk. Hey, it's Liam and Alex.
What a coincidence.
What is going on here? Free poutine.
Oh,
All right.
good to see you again, Mr. Trades.
Yeah, I'm just doing a video, but I'll be in the area. All right, well, enjoy free poutine.
There's a Korean festival of Bloor.
Oh,
You probably know about it.
where? Yonge and Bloor?
Huh? It's you.
Sorry.
You could have Bloor.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
Koreatown, right by Christie.
Yeah, that's running tomorrow too, right?
I think it's only today. I don't know.
Oh,
I really
we'll
don't
see.
know. I think look on Instagram.
All right, no, don't worry. Cheers. Good to see you.
Take care.
I did not know about that Korean festival. Well, I did, but it had slipped my mind. That was Liam and Alex. We'll go see what some of the hubbub is. Hero, don't pop it, patch it. Is life just a game? Free info on Islam. Why do I get the feeling this is a religious based setup here?
Let go. Okay, brother.
Perfume for sale. No, thank you. Would I like some perfume? No, thanks.
Adorable people. We have freezies for you, amazing.
Is it no, it's literally like in that here right here.
Might be a touch. What are these?
They're pimple patches.
Oh, it's okay. Thank you. Pimple patches. All right. So the Eaton Centre here is being renovated where Nordstrom used to be. They pulled out of Canada not too long ago, and apparently a Simon's store is moving in along with an Italy. And I bet this whole side of the Eaton Centre gets a big makeover. I want to cross over, but someone singing their heart out there. It's always interesting walking down Yonge Street. I mentioned most subway stations are around 500 to 600 meters apart. You can actually get from Yonge Dundas to Queen Station in a little over 200 meters. The Eaton Centre on the right there is North America's busiest shopping center. It opened up in 1977. There's over 200 shops and services. There's 2 food courts, including the new Queen's Cross food court, or food hall they call it. And it replaced the original Eaton's complex, which was one of the largest demolitions the city has ever seen. There were over 24 fairly major buildings that gave way. I mentioned I might walk through the Eaton Centre. I think we're just going to wrap this one up at Queen Street. I just got word that my friends are here. Yonge Street continues south down to Lake Ontario. This is probably the street I've recorded the most on this channel. As it's quite interesting through Midtown and Uptown, which would be the Willowdale area, although Uptown at one point would have been considered around Yonge and Bloor. And Queen Street here is closed due to Ontario Line construction. But that's about it for this one. We're going to keep it a bit on the shorter side. I hope you enjoyed it. As we look at Saks Fifth Avenue and the Bay. We're connected to the Eaton Centre via a pedestrian bridge. But do let me know your thoughts and comments down below if you wish to support the channel. There's links to my Patreon and YouTube channel membership down in the description. I have an Instagram account at Johnny Strides, and there is a super thanks button appearing down below if you wish to say thanks that way. Anywho, thank you for watching, and I will catch you in the next one. Yoink!